Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Roslyn Hill Chapel, a Unitarian spiritual community here in Hampstead, North London. We are a spiritual home for open minds. Whoever you are and however you are this morning, there is a space for you here. And even though we aren't all together physically, this is a chance for us to take some time out to reconnect with ourselves, with each other, and with that which we hold to be of highest worth. As we continue our month of deep listening, we explore the need to be heard and how we can listen more, especially to those voices which are not always easy to hear. Before we begin, just a reminder that we have begun training stewards to help us reopen the chapel when the time is right. And so if you'd like to volunteer, then please do contact the chapel office. We continue to work through a few technical issues in this new era of live streaming, so thank you so much for bearing with us during this time. Our Children's Chapel videos are available on our YouTube channel, and if you haven't already, you can sign up to weekly updates via our website for more information on all of our activities. We are an independent registered charity, and we do rely on your contributions to continue our work. You can donate via the Just Giving page or by using the donate button on our website. Thank you so much for the many ways that you contribute to our spiritual community. We are delighted to have one of our favourite singers back with us, Thomas Mole, to perform for us today a selection of songs by British composers. So let's take some time now to gather to make this time and this place sacred with our presence as we enjoy our Prelude music.
The heat of the sun.
We light our chalice, the symbol of our liberal religious faith, with words this morning by Reverend Diane Rowlett, a minister in the Canadian Unitarian Council. They are this month's global chalice lighting, and so we join in fellowship with Unitarians and Unitarian Universalists around the world as we light the flame this morning. Welcome, hearts. Come, hearts that are open, and hearts that are closed by trials and sorrows, loss and misgivings. Come, seekers, searching for answers, for respite, for a space to unleash your joy. Here, all are welcome. No excuses needed, nor explanations. Bring your whole heart and let it be touched. As we light our chalice, the symbol of our faith, this moment belongs to each of us. Our reading this morning is by the African-American Unitarian Universalist writer Adam Lawrence Dyer. It's called Love Beyond God. What if every time you woke, your sigh was felt by every being on earth? What if every time you spoke, your words were heard by every ear on earth? What if when you told a joke, you tickled the senses of every smile on earth? What if each tender stroke, you shared your touch with every hand on earth? What if when your heart broke, you tasted tears running down every cheek on earth? No bond or brand or gilded yoke. Surely this is love that reaches beyond, that holds one another and every other to one, no matter the colour or where we're from. This is now. This is we. This is love. This is God. And this is love beyond God. Today's hymn is When Our Heart is in a Holy Place by Joyce Poley. And if you'd like to sing along at home, the lyrics were sent out in our weekly email. I invite you now into a short guided meditation inspired by words from Mark Nepo. So let us sit comfortably, perhaps your eyes closed, or soften your gaze as we breathe in gently through our nose and out through our mouth. Now let your breath return to its natural rhythm. Still yourself and listen, and soon in time the mystery will begin to speak to you through its 1,000 disguises as life on earth. So now let us pause for a few moments. Let us still ourselves and reflect on our encounters with the mystery through its 1,000 disguises as life on earth. May it be so. Blessed be. During our music for reflection, I will light some candles for all of us as we reflect on our joys and concerns in our lives. I'll also light a candle of hope for all of those whose jobs are affected by the pandemic. Thank you, Thomas, and thanks to John Evans, our Director of Music, on the piano, as ever. When I have the honour of conducting a wedding, I sometimes feel the weight of expectation to say something profound about love, about relationships. I often return to the old adage, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. It goes hand in hand with another quote from that Stoic philosopher Epictetus. It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. So listening really does improve our relationships. And a couple of thousand years later, we still need to be reminded of the power of listening. We know that relationships of all kinds can falter when communication breaks down. Even with the best of intentions, we can find ourselves speaking at cross purposes. And I'm pretty sure that there have been times when many of us have felt that our own voices have not been heard. A family occasion when words have been misunderstood. The work meeting when you fail to make your point. Even a friendly get-together when you just can't seem to get a word in edgeways. All those times when we have not felt heard can weigh heavily on us. The author and pastoral theologian David Augsburger wrote, "Being heard is so close to being loved that for the average person they are almost indistinguishable." We all have that craving to be heard, truly heard, by someone with a compassionate ear. But if everyone is talking, there's no one left to do the listening, and that's a recipe for disaster. I know that in my own friendships and family relationships, things break down when I stop listening. Much as I feel the need to be heard, it often has to start by me listening. Listening so that the other person feels heard, but also listening in order to work out the best way to express myself to that person, so that I too will be heard. Psalm 46 in the Hebrew Bible speaks about deep calling unto deep, the depth of the Spirit within us calling out to God. In our Unitarian context, where we recognize the divinity within all of us, we might think of the deep within us calling to the deep within someone else, a call that reminds us to honor their spirit and listen fully to what they have to say. Do we listen to someone because of who they are? It is human nature to hear others through the filter of our own experience, but there is a risk that our prejudices will colour the way that we hear others. How would it be to listen in the darkness, to really hear someone without being swayed by what they look like or where we thought that they came from? Do we need to know someone in order to really hear what they have to say? In our reading, Adam Lawrence Dyer imagines what it would be like to have every word you spoke heard by every ear on earth. An all-encompassing embrace and a validation for your voice, a love beyond God, which, once recognized, might serve to heal the world. Dyer proclaims, "Surely this is love that reaches beyond, that holds one another and every other to one, no matter the colour or where we're from." October's Black History Month gives us more opportunities than usual to apply our deep listening by making a conscious effort to seek out underrepresented voices, to really listen to sometimes painful stories and experiences which might make us feel uncomfortable, as well as uncovering those uplifting voices which have been silenced or overlooked. It is a shame that we have to dedicate a specific month to Black history, but it is necessary in order to attempt at least to redress an imbalance that has been weighted towards white Western European voices for so long. We have heard those who question, sometimes innocently, sometimes ignorantly, why? Why focus on Black history for a month? Why not display the words "all lives matter" in our notice board rather than "Black lives matter"? But even a cursory glance at the evidence shows that this is needed because the imbalance of voices over the years have left Black and brown people feeling and being unheard and uncared for. Reverend Winnie Gordon is a Unitarian minister in Birmingham and, at the moment, the only other person of colour in our denomination's professional ministry. She writes, "I often hid away from speaking up about racial issues. I don't want to see a divide or the hostility of the past. I don't want to think that it still exists. But there is a prayer by Joseph M. Cherry, a Black man, that goes, 'Help us, O Infinite One. If we have any hope of transforming the world and changing ourselves, we must be bold enough to step into our discomfort, brave enough to be clumsy there, loving enough to forgive ourselves and others. May we, as a people of faith, be granted the strength to be so bold, so brave, and so loving. Amen." Reverend Gordon continues, "We are still called to be a people bold and willing to sit in discomfort. Be us black or white, red or purple. We are called to recognize the abundance of God's creation if you believe in a God, or the universe's evolution if you don't, to correct the uncorrected, to speak the truth even in the face of disbelief, to proclaim equality and live it. If travel broadens the mind, then listening to voices which are different to our own will broaden our perspective on the world. It brings us closer to that state of acceptance of ourselves and of each other, which is key to, well, if not happiness, at least a kind of life satisfaction. If enough of us develop those deep listening skills which honour the divinity in one another, then who knows what kind of world we could create together. And so, in the weeks and months ahead, what are the ways that you can listen more deeply? Are you listening to make a comment, waiting for the moment to jump in and make your own point, or really listening deeply to hear what the other person has to say? And are you willing to make a commitment to seek out those voices which you find less easy to hear? If the predictions are right, we face a bleak few months ahead. If it's difficult to find something to look forward to at the moment, may I humbly suggest finding novelty and innovation by seeking out different voices, different stories which can enrich our lives. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So let's use our 2 ears in the best way that we can. Blessed be. And now for our closing blessing. For the joy of diverse voices we give thanks, and for the joy of all we can experience we give thanks. May we welcome new possibilities through welcoming new voices and stories into our lives. May it be so. Amen.